What happens when a liberal TV host tries to embarrass Karoline Leavitt on live television? No one expected her to drop a bombshell that would leave the entire studio in shock. But what she revealed about where millions of taxpayer dollars were spent, that's what made this moment go viral. The cameras panned across the brightly lit studio, capturing the energy of a live audience eager for a heated debate. At the center of it all sat Karoline Leavitt, poised and composed, opposite Ethan Caldwell, a well-known liberal TV host with a reputation for grilling conservative guests. The audience expected a tough exchange, but what they didn't know was that this night would go down as one of the most unforgettable moments in live television history. Ethan leaned back in his chair, a smirk playing on his lips as he prepared to launch his first attack. "Karoline," he began, "conservatives love to talk about fiscal responsibility, but let's be honest. Republican-backed budgets have wasted just as much money as the Democrats. We've seen tax breaks for billionaires, luxury retreats for officials, even government-funded private jets. How do you justify that?" The audience chuckled, sensing the beginning of a well-rehearsed takedown. But Karoline simply smiled, her confidence unwavering. "You want to talk about waste?" she asked, tilting her head slightly. "Let's talk about where your tax dollars are actually going." Ethan blinked, his smirk fading just a little. Karoline reached into her bag, pulled out a thick stack of government reports, and dropped them onto the table with a loud thud. $50 million, she said, her voice crystal clear. "That's how much the Biden administration sent overseas to fund condoms in Gaza." The studio erupted. The audience gasped. The producers froze. And for the first time in his career, Ethan Caldwell had nothing to say. For a moment, the studio was silent. Ethan blinked rapidly, struggling to process the bombshell Karoline had just dropped. He laughed nervously, shuffling through his papers as if searching for a way out. "Wait, hold on," he stammered. "50 million? That doesn't sound right." Karoline didn't even blink. She calmly tapped the documents in front of her. "It's all right here," she said. "A line item breakdown of the Biden administration's foreign aid spending. $50 million to Gaza. Now tell me, Ethan, is that what the American people signed up for?" The audience murmured, whispering among themselves. Some were visibly stunned. Others shook their heads in disbelief. The cameras zoomed in on Ethan's face, capturing every flicker of panic as he tried to find a response. "Well, Karoline," he said, forcing a smile, "foreign aid is a complex issue, and frankly, I think it's irresponsible to focus on just one expenditure when we should be discussing broader—" "A minor expenditure?" Karoline cut in, raising an eyebrow. "Tell that to the single mother in Ohio struggling to buy groceries. Do you think she's okay with her tax dollars paying for birth control in Gaza while she can't even afford eggs?" Boom! The audience erupted again. Some clapped. Others shook their heads. Ethan squirmed in his chair, his face visibly flushed under the bright studio lights. He could feel the conversation slipping away from him, and Karoline wasn't finished yet. Ethan glanced toward his producers, searching for a lifeline, but there was nothing they could do. The cameras were rolling, and Karoline had full control of the moment. "Well, Karoline," he tried again, "it's easy to cherry-pick spending, but the U.S. has always contributed to foreign aid and—" Karoline leaned forward. "Ethan, do you even know how much we've sent to that region in the last year alone?" Ethan hesitated. He didn't have the number. Karoline tapped the document again. $1.2 billion. That's what we've sent in just 12 months. Meanwhile, Americans are facing skyrocketing grocery prices, a border crisis, and crumbling infrastructure. And you want to tell me that's not worth talking about? The audience gasped again. Some even started clapping. Ethan shifted in his seat, struggling to laugh it off. "Well, I think you're oversimplifying a very complex issue." "No, Ethan," Karoline interrupted, her voice steady. "What's simple is that Americans are tired of being lied to. They're tired of their tax dollars being wasted while they can barely afford to pay rent. What's simple is that your job, your entire career, is built on defending a system that's failing them. And now that someone is calling it out, you don't know what to say." The crowd lost it. Applause thundered through the studio. Some audience members even stood up, clapping. Ethan's face drained of color. He wasn't just losing the argument. He was losing his credibility. live, in front of millions of viewers. "We're out of time," Ethan finally blurted, desperate to shut the conversation down. "Caroline, always a pleasure." Caroline smirked, leaning back in her chair, completely unfazed. "Of course," she said smoothly. "Thanks for having me." The moment the cameras cut, the damage was already done. Within minutes, clips of the exchange flooded social media. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, all dominated by headlines like, "Karoline Leavitt just humiliated a liberal host on live TV." "Ethan Caldwell destroyed after trying to defend Biden's spending." This is why people are done with mainstream media. And Ethan? He became the meme of the week. His attempt to humiliate Caroline had backfired so badly that even his own supporters began criticizing him. But Caroline, she walked away stronger than ever. The debate was over, and she had won.